Yes, I'll send you the link.
Good, good.
Or I already sent you the link? Did I
Right.
send it to you already? I thought maybe I didn't.
I
Anyway,
see.
yes, I can send you the link. You could download it if you play it online. You just want to switch the view. It actually is one of those automatic transcriptions generated. But yes, so you can watch it.
Okay, can you give us a quick synopsis, Lane?
It went well. We went through the questions. They agreed this is all about a feasibility study and we wouldn't commit them to any more than that. We did get information from RCO with the procurement, so I'll get to that in a minute. And the kickoff meeting for successful candidates is Friday at 10. So I'll send you guys that information.
I'm signed up.
The big thing for Parks and Rec, I think, was more about, we kind of went through they did not agree to anything. They agreed to the feasibility study and that's it. So we have to make sure that we're very careful in all of our presentation materials to say that's all they've agreed to. And also, we talked about really wanting to have the study go through and identify any other potential locations for a dock, and then do probably, I was talking to Mary, maybe one of those matrices that gives, okay, here's the criteria. Is it privately owned or public? Is it protected from the weather, et cetera? And then just show that all those sites were evaluated. So 7 years from now, someone can pull it up and say, oh yeah, they did look at this. So I think that's something that maybe we haven't explicitly stated, but we'll make sure that a group goes through that and engineers go through that and say, yep, this is why it would or would not work.
Okay.
That would be important for them.
Okay.
As well as for us. Talked about whether the stairs were not there, would that be a problem? And as I thought, they can't answer that question this very minute. They need to think about it, and they need to think about, Mary brought up, well, if basically we give better access, to waterfront activities, to shoreline. So that's the term used, shoreline. Doesn't say it has to be on a beach. So that's to continue to be discussed, but certainly any concept designs, we'll ask how would stairs fit into that. And we did bring up light signage for the neighbors, and they said they sounded like they would go look around. They have appropriate signage, and they did not realize the signage was not currently there. Talked about procurement a bit. It looks as if we do need to go to a public request for procurement to announce that we have an RFP, request for a proposal, or RFQ, request for qualifications. And because this is professional services, not construction services, that gives us a little less, it's a little less strict, but I went to the site. He gave a site that we could check. You can sign up. It's almost like a matchmaking service. You can sign up for it. There's a fee, but it's like $145 for the year. Then we might consider going ahead and using this grant to pay for that. And I'll have to do some more work to figure out what's involved. I'll give you that link. Everyone should probably go and at least look at it and see what you think.
That's the MRC or
It's
something.
MRSC
.org.
rosters with an S.org. MRSC rosters, all one word, rosters.org. Okay, and when I mentioned that we had gotten the name of the company that gave us the archaeological, Drayton Archaeological, RCO does have a list in the State Department, so that DAHP was the Department of Architectural Preservation and Historic Preservation. And fortunately, in the end, we really only have, it's funny, I have the spreadsheet here. Okay, we have engineering, we have eelgrass, we have cultural resources. So in the end, we really only have 3, and I think 1 is quite limited because the state has to approve that archaeological. You can't just go to anybody for that. They have to somebody who has been whose requirements have been or qualifications have been accepted by the state. But we can now send a message to those 3 contractors and say, you know, we have got the grant. We should have a signed contract pretty soon. And what it says, and I'll go ahead and share. Share the verbiage for this. So I have so under our checklist before, I gave you a whole thing about the procurement and building stuff with American-made materials. Okay, that we don't have to worry about. This is a professional services. So publish a notice, give a date for submission. What's that?
What's the mechanics of that, Lane?
Well, I'm not going to talk about that right now, Dave, because we don't know.
Okay.
All I'm going to tell you is these are the requirements.
Okay.
Specify procedure and criteria. Contact somebody. Comply with legal standards, not to discriminate.
So
So
I-
we hope on Friday we'll ask that question, because surely they don't expect people to know how to do this. I wouldn't think.
yeah, that's a good point. I guess my question is, you know, I guess you can put out a public notice, but we have identified a number of potential engineering firms that we could reach out to for an RFP, right?
Right now, I cannot answer these questions, Dave.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
don't know.
We
I'm
just
just
don't know.
asking. Yeah, you know,
But that's all we can say right now is to the people we have talked to, is
Mm-hmm.
it that, I mean, we could give them the steps or whatever, but we have to do more research. We only found out about this a few hours ago. So
Sure.
right now we don't know.
Let me ask you this, was Bennett and Company supportive of help guiding us with their resources? I mean, they know how to do this stuff.
So
right?
we asked specifically whether they had examples. And the other person on the call was someone from design and development.
Yeah,
And
Ron
he's been there for a
Lamb.
long time. He's come back again and filled a position that has been empty for a long time. So he has a million things on his plate.
Hmm.
But he did say he might have an example, but I realized all of these are public. We can find
Oh,
these examples because these are public sites that you post. That's
Mhm.
why I was asking Chris, do you ever sign up for any of these to get notices that people are looking for someone with your qualifications to do a job? No, okay. So it's something that a lot of people just track. They would just sign up for and say, I want to hear when you have, and you set criteria. You say, if it's this, this, or this, then let me know there's an RFP out there.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be hard to get an example, and someone certainly should be able to define, what do you mean by public notice? But right now we don't know. The second thing was we explained a bit about the committee or the work group for working with the tribal nations. They were very pleased we were already moving on that. And they did say that, yes, they believe that assigning one of their people to be on that work group would be appropriate.
Good.
So if we have something that needs their attention, I think it's going to be on task by task kind of request, just like reviewing the grant was. You know, if you have time, but they're not going to sign up ahead of time and say, you know, X number of hours a week or whatever.
Sure.
And obviously we'll have to be very judicious in using it.
Mhm.
But it behooves them, obviously, to have a well-done study, no matter what the answer is at the end.
Mhm.
Their name is still associated with this feasibility study.
Right, right. What was your sense? Were they pretty excited about it? I mean,
Well, I think that for them, it's, they're kind of like when Roland said, I have no skin in this game. He didn't say exactly that, but that's what he meant. I have no opinion.
Hmm.
And I think Parks and Rec on some levels is saying the same thing. We have no opinion. What we would like is something to go to the commission with and say, hey, we have an opinion now. Here's what it is. So
Okay.
until we know more, they don't have an opinion. That's my
Sure.
personal
Okay.
interpretation. Mary, would you say you got any different sense from
No,
that?
I would agree with that. I think they are, I think that they're being cautious.
Mhm.
And I think, Bennett needs to walk a tight line,
Mhm.
because he's still new and really feeling things out. He's been, I think, he has to be careful on what he feels like like, I can't be too excited for you, but I am glad that we helped and that you're progressing.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
kind of
that,
my feeling. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, same. They're not against us by any means,
mhm,
but they have a limit on what kind of support they can show at this point. But knowing the
Yeah.
groundwork that Terry laid with them and her talks before her passing, I think go a long ways. And having other members on that committee, they are excited about it for us. So
Good, good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they got to be cautious, right? They can't be
that's
having
exactly right.
a favorite project or something. I just wanted to see if you gathered a sense for, I
Yeah,
mean, it's, they came and saw, they visited us, they got the Lummi Island tour, and now we made some big progress, and I think that's all good. And
yeah,
yeah,
actions speak louder than words, right, Dave? So I mean,
yeah,
they're still willing to help, and so we keep
good.
going.
Excellent. Yeah.
yeah. And they did say that the new commissioner for the Parks and Rec has not been, uh, it actually the person will be chosen by Sat Paul, given, I think, the list of, is that what you guys understood? Is Sat Paul will take a list of candidates? It's not a vote.
Mhm.
Or I think he said Unit 5, which Terry oversaw.
Right. So
Mhm.
that's us. And I think he said there were two submissions left. One person had withdrawn.
Two left, but
I believe he said that there were two people who were on the list, but I might have heard that wrong. You can listen to the tape and see what you think.
okay. So my understanding is this, Sat Paul makes a decision, a selection, and then it goes to the county council for approval.
The county council, okay.
And this is curious, right? Because I sent in my app like early May. And I got a confirmation from someone that it was received. And they described the process. And then I heard nothing. So if you go to the county council agenda, for their upcoming meeting,
Yeah,
like I looked for the last one, and there was indeed votes to approve people for certain commissions that were selected by SACPO. Obviously, that it wasn't this particular commission seat. It was something, just a couple of other unrelated things.
uh-huh.
So I was curious about the timeline. So I sent the person that sent me the email an email saying, hey, just wanted to know if you can give me an update. What's the timing? How long does this go? Never heard anything. So I'm just curious to see what happens when I check periodically to see what the county council, if, when they post the agenda for the next meeting, which would be, July? No, I think it's,
We're going to,
yeah, the
and it's
next,
actually Silver Lake.
okay, yeah. But the agenda will be out there and then, if this position is on it, then we'll know.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I take it back. The commissioner meeting that we're going to, Parks and Rec commissioner meeting that we're going to is
Oh.
like that third Thursday.
Oh,
Well,
right, okay,
okay, you can listen. Chris asked the question. You can listen to the tape and see what you think they said.
okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
We didn't blurt in anything like, well, how's David doing? But you've outed yourself, so in
Right.
that case, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they leave those things open for a certain amount of time, right?
It's probably it. There's probably some requirement.
Because it seems awfully slow, but that's government, I guess.
Mary asked about what would basically indicate success with outcome of this project.
Hmm.
And Bennett said to make sure that we provide the input to Parks and Rec that they would need to then, and he thought we were probably right that I'm fairly sure it's right, that it's a pre-planning grant, a pre-construction grant, which is all the permitting and everything, and then an actual building, a construction grant. So it's actually 3 different grants. And in essence, he was saying that if they decided to, and he might have used the word sponsor, but we don't apply for the grant. This pre-planning grant is the exception. The next grants are applied for by the Parks and Recreation Department and their group of whomever else. And so for them to support the next phase, they would need to make sure we got all the answers out of this first phase. In other words, they don't have money to do anything we miss. So he wanted to make sure the scope of work that we had given contractors was accurate. And I realized that without giving a breakdown on the cost, because we did not, when we put a public, for the public, we didn't break down the price of each individual task.
Mhm.
For the public, we sort of had a summarized spreadsheet. And then we had built in a little bit more to cover in case costs went up and such.
Yeah.
But we do have a list of tasks
Mhm.
from the contractor that we used for the bid for the grant.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, do you think we should send that to and I assume it's okay to share. I realize we're recording this. Anybody see a reason I shouldn't share the basically the guidance we got from our potential partners?
I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think so.
Don't we have the link?
It's a 30-day, I'm sure it had a deadline on it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking it's these tasks that we can provide to Bennett without, without putting price tag to it, but list, these were the tasks on our, and this is these are all the tasks we would list on a request for proposal.
Right, so I think that is a good idea, Elaine. We submit this to Bennett and Company to review, and if there are other items, we could add that to a bid package.
Yeah, because I
Hopefully
mean,
it doesn't
it's
boost.
a whole set of so I've shared this with a committee, but the one we published to the public, we didn't give this level of detail.
Mhm.
I think, in fact, we rolled it up even for the grant itself. We rolled it up. They weren't looking for this level of detail, but I would have thought that Parks and Rec would, and it made sense to me. I mean, it says right here, 3 preliminary site plans and elevations, right? And
Mhm.
so even money to help with looking at what grants were available.
Yeah,
So, well, I'll go ahead and like I said, clean that up and give them the spreadsheet without the,
okay,
and they were familiar with KPFF.
okay, good. Now, Lane, is your, let's say you want to send this to them, is Bennett our contact, or did he name somebody to be kind
Yeah,
of?
it's a good question. He didn't give any reason not to think. I don't think I've seen Rod's email actually. So I'm guessing until Bennett tells us otherwise.
Okay,
And we asked about how frequently to communicate, and he was suggesting something. I think we talked about communicating with people, but he suggested, he said, well, I'm sure you're going to set up a list of people that you send status reports to and just include us on that list. So he wasn't looking for a separate, Parks and Rec specific. Yay. So we'll have a list that will include, any of the legislators or executive, county executive, whoever it is we think should get the status messages we have been sending. We'll just start a list of that, and then we'll consider whether we want to do like the school board did with Brown Betty once a month, maybe status of the public doc grant activity, something like that. But he's not looking for anything special.
Okay, good.
You did say that we would not write a check that he couldn't cash, that we wouldn't say anything until we talked to him. We did not talk about a press release because we realized that we really wanted to find out more about what was going to happen with our work group with consulting with the tribal nations first.
Mhm.
So that we can have a more that's basically what I had for my notes.
So what, where are we at on meeting with Jim then? Because that's a next step as
I
well,
left
right?
him, yeah, I left him a voicemail because I had, the last exchange was just, yes, I'm happy to do it. And I sent him a message, said that would be great. Let us know when you would like to meet. And I did tell him about tonight's meeting. It said he may not be ready, or it was a short notice. I sent him a message on, I sent him the email back the same day. So that was Friday. So what did you guys think? What's a way to just have him come on just with the committee members first and just start getting an idea of what his thoughts are on forming a team?
I think that would be good.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
So I left him a voicemail today, and hopefully, I think, tell you the truth, I think it's not so much the mechanics of how everything will proceed as much as we have started. And within the next month, I would have said that, we still haven't signed the contract. That should happen in the next couple of days, but it seems like this is the big first step is just trying to figure out, how might this work and who could we get on board?
Yeah.
We really need direction from Jim and his ideas before we can move forward on that.
So we can, he gave some feedback about some of the history, and I will expand the document that I provided with that specifically so that people know where, what kind of things we should be looking at and kind of bringing ourselves up to date on. Something else that, and it was interesting because he did say we, Bennett said we should get together. He was talking about the timeline. Didn't he say we? Work at a timeline with milestones. So until we get apparently the contract will have in it the deliverables and at least their milestones. So that will be interesting to see. Now, I'm not going to guess exactly how theirs will lay out. I mean, they could be, they want, it could be they don't need milestones for like 4 or 5 months, and we would want more frequent than that. And he also mentioned a Gantt chart. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a Gantt chart. But if there's 2 things that have to be done, can you do them in parallel, or does one have to be complete before the next one can be done?
Right,
So it's a project management. I meant to ask him if they use any particular software for that. I don't know if you guys have ever used project management software.
MS Project, yeah, sure, yeah.
MS Project.
So interdependencies, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
cannot
know that-
proceed until you get, an answer from A feeds into B.
Yeah.
And you cannot proceed until you get it, or the answer at A feeds on, and when you get it, you can keep, moving. So MS Project.
Yeah.
I've worked with some, but it's been proprietary.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And something else that everybody used, but I can't remember. It's been so long ago. Saturday is the Saturday market, and Chris, you said you could come. You and I. Did anyone else say they could come?
I would be happy to go, except I can't do it this Saturday. My son's flying in the morning.
So we will do that next time. So Chris, I'm working on, the graphics. We already have those graphic boards, but I was going to update the, and take at least one of them and talk about, and show just the grant itself. And a big, big, big in many capital letters everywhere is feasibility study only.
Mhm.
That's all we're doing. Zero else. That's all we're doing. And signups, the committee, our work group, well, the committee itself also obviously, but work group, getting people's interests, and do you want to be on a mailing list? And are you interested in being a work group? And we'll just have some kind of fairly loosely stated activities or interests for people to sign up for. I think that just looking at my notes here. Yeah, we didn't have an exact date of the meeting. I guess
I'm
we'll.
sorry, Lane, you broke up there a little bit. Say
I
that
said
again.
we'll have a date for meeting again with Parks and Rec.
Oh, no date set?
I didn't really know how to
Yeah.
right
We got
now.
some work to do.
Yeah, we need to do a little bit of work and then, but he does want to be like on a inclusion list.
Mhm.
I think both Bennett and Ron would like to be on that. And probably Chris too.
Chris, yeah, it's actually Rod with a D.
Oh, Rod, okay.
Rod.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we'll. So I guess that's a question. When should we meet again?
Oh, and one thing that he did talk about is, when I asked that question about what other things that you would like to see, that they would like to see as a result of the grant, it would be research on further funding.
Yeah. So, and that's hopefully the
Consultant, we
help
put
us.
that into try to put that into the scope of work, like, suggestions for further funding to how to proceed to move this forward.
Because since, yeah, and that's not just funding for building, but if the dock went
Mhm.
forward and Parks and Rec has already said it's too big for them, then it's other partners in both building and managing. That's my guess anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Further funding and partners.
Did you guys talk about this, about any creative ways of getting some funding for this reimbursement grant?
No,
No? Okay.
it's
That's
already
all.
used, we're using up our time, and I don't think they're probably the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
I think Leica is beginning to explore that, and
Oh.
we have some potential leads.
oh, excellent, okay.
So we'll work on that on our end. And we can also find out from and Ted Morse, the one who had come over from Birch Bay, got back to us and said, hey, yeah, I'd be happy to meet with you. And he may have some ideas. He's a big grant kind of guy.
Okay.
But I will reach out now to those contractors we have and send them a sort of. Well, I would really like to wait till we have a contract signed, actually, but because, yeah, I will wait because we don't know until we have a contract signed what else it says about this procurement stuff. If there's more in the contract that she just sent me the criteria or what. So we'll get through the meeting on Friday and we'll know more.
Right, okay, yeah. Yeah, it would be good to let them know that we, we actually succeeded in getting the funding. And I'm sure they've been through this. They probably are prepared to do a bid, right? So maybe we can even learn from that, their past experience.
Yeah. Okay. So when do
I
you
guess
guys?
the good news is we don't need to really spend any money in the near term, because we got to get all these bid proposals out.
Take a bit.
gives us a little bit of time to maybe investigate some of these Leica contacts Mary mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I'm guessing the first step will be the cultural resources. Because that, well, again, for show stopping, and pedestrian and parking. Oh, we did talk about pedestrian, or about parking, and they're gonna check and see if they have anything on their records. I did look, they acquired beach access property in 1979.
Okay.
And the platform was built in 1984. So the original platform was actually built as they were taking down the dock, it looks like, because
Okay.
the dock was taken down in 85. But they need to look around for themselves and see if they have anything about actual parking.
Okay.
And I think one of the things we'll want is somebody to do a nice timeline of the life of that site. What's happened there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hey, would you guys mind if I left?
No, I was just gonna
Okay.
ask when to meet again. That's my only last.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I think we should meet after the meeting on Friday to kind of digest stuff, but I would not like to meet on Friday. Could we wait until I get back? Like maybe Monday, or would that be too long?
No,
No.
I
What
think
what days would work for people? I'm gonna be driving all day Saturday and Sunday too, probably, so Monday would really be the soonest I'd wanna get together myself. I'll try my best to make that 10 o'clock meeting. But if not, I'm just gonna trust all of you guys that can be there to be there, and I'll get caught up with you guys.
sure.
My brother-in-law wants to take us out on Lake Oroville on his boat, so
Oh, nice.
I
yeah.
wouldn't miss that. That's research for the public doc.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's
So,
full.
I know.
And it's full. When's the
Yeah.
last, I mean, I was there during sad times, as well as the overflow of the
Hmm.
Spillway.
spillway. Heavens, Ooh, that was terrible.
Mhm.
Yeah, Monday.
That could work for me.
Okay. What time?
Maybe a little earlier. If that
Okay.
works.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
I'll just try to make it a priority.
Okay. What time would you guys like to meet?
I can meet anytime. So I guess if anybody has restrictions, I mean, we could meet in the morning even. I don't know if that works for you, Chris.
I'll just make time.
Okay.
I think
And if you want to do the same time, we can make it easy.
That would be my vote, but
Okay, I'll make it work.
if he started at 5:30 or 6.
Your call, Chris.
I'll do whatever.
Well, if 7 works best for Chris, that's okay with me.
Okay.
7 it is then.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent. Okay, guys. That sounds great. Mary, have a good one. Pretend you weren't
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your trip and
Yeah. Good luck on Saturday. I hope you get
I'll
some new interested people. Okay.
let you
Bye,
guys.
all.
Night.
thanks, guys.
Yes,
Take care.
That soon.
Bye.